Chloe lay in the darkness, her eyes fixed on the ceiling, her mind buzzing with thoughts she couldn't shake off. The house was quiet, too quiet, except for the faint, rhythmic sounds coming from Ella's room down the hall. She tried to ignore it, to tell herself it was just the wind or the creaking of the old house, but deep down she knew what it was. She turned onto her side, pulling the blanket tighter around her, as if it could shield her from the reality of what was happening just a few doors away. Her boyfriend, Mason, had gone to Ella's room after dinner, and she had told him it was okay. She had said she was fine, that she didn't mind. But now, with the sounds growing louder, more distinct, Chloe's heart sank. The bed felt too large, too empty without him. She could still feel the warmth of his body beside her, the way his arm would rest over her, pulling her close. But now, that space was cold, and the silence was filled with the unmistakable sounds of intimacy. Unable to bear it any longer, Chloe sat up, her feet touching the cool floor. She hesitated, her hand hovering over the doorknob. She knew she shouldn't, but she needed to see, to confirm what her ears were telling her. With a deep breath, she opened the door and stepped into the dimly lit hallway. The sounds grew clearer as she approached Ella's room, her heart pounding in her chest. She could hear the soft laughter, the whispers, the gentle rhythmic movement of the bed. Her stomach twisted into knots, a mix of curiosity and dread. She stood there just outside the door, her hand trembling as she reached for the handle. Chloe pushed the door open slowly, the hinges creaking softly, announcing her presence. The scene before her was exactly as she feared. Mason and Ella, entwined in a dance of passion, their bodies moving in sync, neither stopping as they turned to look at her. Ella's eyes met hers, a playful, almost challenging look in them. "He's yours too, Chloe," she said, with a light, teasing tone. Chloe's breath caught in her throat, her emotions a whirlwind of confusion and unexpected arousal. She didn't know what to do, what to say. She just stood there, watching, feeling the heat rise to her cheeks. The room was bathed in a soft, warm light from the bedside lamp, casting long shadows that danced with their movements. The air was thick with the scent of their intimacy, a mix of perfume, sweat, and something else, something primal and raw. Chloe backed away, closing the door behind her. She leaned against the wall, her mind racing. Was she upset? Jealous? Or was there something else stirring within her, something she hadn't anticipated? The sounds continued, now muffled by the closed door, but still echoing in her mind. She returned to her room, the bed now feeling even larger, the silence even more deafening. She lay down, staring at the ceiling once again, her thoughts a tangled mess. She had told Mason it was okay, but now, alone in the quiet, she questioned her own feelings. The night stretched on, and sleep eluded her. The sounds from Ella's room a constant reminder of the choice she had made and the unexpected emotions it had stirred within her. Chloe couldn't shake the image from her mind, the sight of Mason and Ella together, their bodies moving in a rhythm that was both foreign and familiar. She lay there, her heart pounding, her thoughts a chaotic whirlwind. She had seen it, confirmed it, and now she was left with the aftermath of her own decision. The sounds continued, now a constant, low hum in the background, a reminder of what was happening just a few feet away. Chloe's mind raced, trying to reconcile her feelings of betrayal with the unexpected thrill that had coursed through her when she saw them. She sat up again, her body feeling restless, her mind unable to settle. She knew she should go back to bed, try to sleep, but sleep was the last thing on her mind. Instead, she found herself drawn back to Ella's room, her steps silent on the carpeted hallway. The door was slightly ajar now, as if inviting her to look once more. She pushed it open gently, the light from within casting a soft glow on the floor. Inside, Mason and Ella were still there, their movements now slower, more deliberate. They turned to look at her, their eyes meeting hers in a mix of surprise and invitation. Ella, with a knowing smile, spoke first, her voice soft but clear. "You coming, Chloe? Or just watching?" Chloe's breath hitched. She felt the heat rise in her cheeks, her pulse quickening. She didn't know what to say, what to do. The room felt charged with an energy she hadn't anticipated, a pull towards something she had never considered before. Mason's gaze was intense, his eyes searching hers for an answer. She could see the question there, the silent plea for her to join, to participate, or to leave. The choice was hers, and the weight of it pressed down on her. She stepped further into the room, the carpet soft under her bare feet. Her hand reached for the hem of her shirt, pulling it over her head in a slow, deliberate motion. Her clothes fell away, piece by piece, leaving a trail behind her as she approached the bed. The air was thick with tension, with the scent of their intimacy, with the sounds of their breathing. She felt exposed, vulnerable, but also strangely empowered. She stood there in just her underwear, her body flushed with anticipation. Ella shifted, making room for Chloe, her eyes never leaving her. Mason's hand reached out, his touch gentle on her arm, guiding her closer. "Just keep going," Chloe whispered, her voice barely audible, but it was enough. Mason didn't respond with words, but his movements changed, became more deliberate, more focused. Ella's breath stuttered, her arms trembling slightly as she leaned closer to the mattress. Chloe felt a rush of something she couldn't quite name, a mix of jealousy, desire, and an unexpected sense of connection. She pressed a kiss to Mason's shoulder, then another down the slope of Ella's back, her hands skimming up her sides, fingers tracing gentle lines. All three of them moved as one, the rhythm sinking beneath Chloe's skin, a dance she hadn't anticipated joining. The room pulsed with their shared breath, the subtle impacts of their movements, the quiet friction of skin against skin. Chloe felt the tension build, not just in the room but within herself, an ache sharp and familiar blooming fast. She whispered against Ella's ear, "Stay right there," her voice a soft command. Ella whimpered, a sound that sent a shiver down Chloe's spine. Chloe smiled, then leaned in again, her lips brushing against Ella's skin, her hands guiding her, easing her back onto the bed. The three of them were now a tangle of limbs, of shared heat and silent understanding. Chloe felt the tension, the anticipation, the raw, unfiltered desire that filled the room. She was part of it now, part of this unexpected moment, and she let herself be carried away by the rhythm, by the connection, by the choice she had made to step into this room. Chloe's heart raced as she lay there, sandwiched between Mason and Ella, the warmth of their bodies a stark contrast to the cold uncertainty in her mind. The room was filled with the sound of their breathing, now more even, as they all caught their breath. She could feel Mason's hand on her hip, Ella's leg draped over hers, and the weight of what had just happened pressed down on her. She turned her head, her eyes meeting Mason's, searching for something, anything that would help her make sense of her own feelings. His gaze was soft, filled with a mix of concern and affection. "Are you okay?" he whispered, his voice barely above a breath. Chloe nodded, but the truth was, she wasn't sure. She felt a storm of emotions swirling inside her, a mix of arousal, jealousy, confusion, and an unexpected sense of liberation. She had never imagined herself in this situation, had never thought she'd be capable of feeling this way. Ella shifted, her hand reaching out to brush a strand of hair from Chloe's face. "You looked beautiful," she said, her voice gentle, almost reverent. Chloe's heart fluttered at the compliment, but it also brought a pang of guilt. She had watched, she had joined, but was this what she really wanted? Or was it just a reaction to the moment, to the challenge in Ella's eyes? She rolled onto her back, staring up at the ceiling, the same ceiling she had stared at in her own room just hours before, but now it felt like a different world. The intimacy, the connection, had been real, had been intense, but now, in the quiet aftermath, she was left to deal with the consequences of her actions. Mason's hand found hers, squeezing gently. "Talk to me, Chloe," he urged, his voice laced with genuine concern. She turned to look at him, her eyes meeting his. I don't know," she admitted, her voice small. "I thought I was okay with this, but now I'm not sure." Ella sat up, pulling the sheet around her, her expression thoughtful. "It's a lot to take in, Chloe. I know it's not easy. But you did seem to enjoy it, didn't you?" Chloe felt her cheeks burn, the truth of Ella's words hitting home. She had enjoyed it, had felt a rush unlike anything she had experienced before. But was that enough? Was it just the thrill of the forbidden, or something deeper? She sat up too, pulling the sheet over herself, feeling suddenly self-conscious. "I did," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "But it's not just about enjoying it, is it? It's about what this means for us, for me." Mason scooted closer, his arm wrapping around her, pulling her into a comforting embrace. "It doesn't have to mean anything you don't want it to, Chloe. We can talk about it, figure it out together." Chloe leaned into him, her head resting on his shoulder. She felt the warmth of his body, the steady beat of his heart, and for a moment it grounded her. But the questions, the doubts, remained. Ella's hand found Chloe's, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "You don't have to decide anything right now, Chloe. Just know that we're here, and we want you to feel comfortable, to feel good about whatever you choose." Chloe took a deep breath, her mind still racing, but also feeling a bit lighter with their support. She knew she had to confront her feelings, to understand what she truly wanted. But for now, she allowed herself to be held, to feel the connection, to let the warmth of their bodies and their words comfort her. The night was far from over, and the dawn would bring with it new questions, new decisions. But in this moment, she chose to be present, to feel, to listen to the silence and the whispers of her own heart. The morning light filtered through the curtains, casting a soft glow over the room. Chloe had barely slept, her mind too full of the events of the night before, of the choices she had made and the emotions she had felt. She lay there, Mason's arm draped over her, Ella's legs still entwined with hers, and she felt a strange sense of peace mixed with the lingering turmoil. She slipped out from between them, careful not to wake them. The room was quiet, the only sound the gentle breathing of her lovers. She wrapped herself in a robe and stepped out into the hallway, her feet silent on the carpet. The house felt different now, charged with a new energy, a new dynamic that she was still trying to understand. In the kitchen, she made coffee, the familiar routine grounding her. As she waited for the coffee to brew, she leaned against the counter, her thoughts swirling. She had always been open to new experiences, but this was beyond anything she had anticipated. Mason entered the kitchen, his hair tousled, his eyes still heavy with sleep. He smiled at her, a small, tentative smile. "Morning," he said, his voice rough. "Morning," she replied, handing him a mug of coffee. They stood there for a moment, the steam from the coffee rising between them. "Did you sleep?" he asked, his concern evident. "Not really," she admitted, taking a sip of her coffee. "I've been thinking." He nodded, understanding in his eyes. "About last night?" "Yeah," she said, her gaze dropping to the coffee in her hands. "It was intense, and I'm not sure how I feel about it all." Mason set his mug down, moving closer to her. "Chloe, whatever you're feeling, it's okay. We can talk, figure this out together." She looked up at him, her heart swelling with affection for his understanding. "I know, it's just, I didn't expect to feel so conflicted." Ella appeared in the doorway, her robe loosely tied, her expression cautious. "Good morning," she said softly. Chloe offered her a small smile, gesturing to the coffee. Ella joined them, and for a moment they stood in silence, the weight of the previous night hanging between them. Finally, Ella spoke, her voice gentle. "Chloe, I know this might be hard, but I want you to know that I care about you, and about Mason. What happened last night, it was special, but I understand if it's not something you want to repeat." Chloe felt a rush of gratitude for Ella's words, for her understanding. "Thank you, Ella. It's not that I didn't enjoy it. I did. But it's about understanding what it means for us, for our relationship." Mason took her hand, his touch warm and reassuring. "We're in this together, Chloe. We can explore, or we can step back. It's your choice, and we'll respect whatever you decide." The three of them sat at the kitchen table, the morning light now fully illuminating the room. They talked, openly and honestly, about their feelings, their desires, and their fears. Chloe felt herself opening up, sharing her confusion, her jealousy, and her unexpected sense of liberation. Ella spoke of her own experiences, of her desire to share, to give pleasure, and to receive it. Mason talked about his love for both of them, his wish to see them happy, and his willingness to navigate this new territory with them. As the conversation flowed, Chloe felt a shift within her. The initial shock and confusion gave way to a deeper understanding. She realized that this wasn't just about a physical act. It was about trust, communication, and the boundaries they were willing to explore. They agreed to take things slowly, to communicate openly, and to reassess their feelings as they went along. Chloe felt a sense of empowerment, knowing that she had the support and understanding of both Mason and Ella. The relationship had changed, evolved into something new, something they would define together. It was uncertain, but it was also filled with potential, with the promise of growth and deeper connections. As they finished their coffee, Chloe looked at Mason and Ella, feeling a warmth in her chest. "Let's see where this takes us," she said, her voice steady. "Together." And with that, they embarked on a new chapter, one where the boundaries of love and intimacy would be drawn not by convention, but by their own hearts and desires. The days following their conversation were a mix of normalcy and newness. Chloe found herself looking at Mason and Ella with a different lens, seeing not just her boyfriend and her friend, but also potential partners in a shared journey. They continued their daily lives, but beneath the surface there was a current of change, a silent agreement to explore this new dynamic with care and respect. One evening, as they gathered for dinner, the air felt lighter, the tension that had once hung between them replaced by a sense of anticipation. Chloe had cooked, her way of showing her affection, her way of grounding herself in the familiar while embracing the unknown. As they ate, the conversation flowed easily, touching on mundane topics, but also dipping into deeper waters. Ella mentioned a book she had been reading on polyamory, sparking a discussion about different relationship structures, about the fluidity of love and connection. Mason listened intently, his hand occasionally reaching out to touch Chloe's, a silent reminder of his support. "I think it's about finding what works for us," he said, his voice thoughtful. "What makes us all feel valued, loved, and secure?" Chloe nodded, her heart swelling with appreciation for his words. "I agree. It's about communication, about being honest with each other, and I think we're doing that." After dinner, they moved to the living room, the space now a symbol of their evolving relationship. Ella sat close to Chloe, their shoulders touching, a physical manifestation of their growing bond. Mason sat across from them, his eyes moving between them, filled with a mix of curiosity and affection. Ella spoke first, her voice soft but firm. "I've been thinking, maybe we could set some guidelines, some boundaries, to make sure we're all comfortable." Chloe felt a rush of gratitude for Ella's initiative. "That sounds good. Like, maybe we could have a safe word, something to use if anyone feels uncomfortable or wants to stop." Mason nodded, his expression serious. "And we should talk about our expectations, what we're comfortable with, what we're not." They spent the evening discussing, setting boundaries, discussing their desires and limits. It was a conversation filled with vulnerability, with moments of laughter and moments of deep introspection. They agreed on a safe word, on the importance of regular check-ins, and on the freedom to express their needs and wants without fear of judgment. As the night drew to a close, Chloe felt a sense of relief, of clarity. They were navigating uncharted waters, but they were doing it together, with respect and care. She looked at Mason and Ella, feeling a deep connection to both of them, a connection that was evolving, growing stronger. Ella stood up, stretching, her movements graceful. "I think we've made a good start," she said, smiling at them both. Mason agreed, his smile mirroring hers. "It's a beginning, and I'm excited to see where it leads us." Chloe felt a warmth in her chest, a feeling of belonging, of being part of something unique and beautiful. "Me too," she said, her voice filled with a mix of excitement and contentment. They hugged, a group embrace that felt like a promise, a commitment to each other. As they parted, Chloe felt the weight of the past few days lift, replaced by a sense of possibility, of adventure. The night ended with them parting ways to their respective rooms, but the connection they had built, the understanding they had reached, remained. It was a new beginning, a journey into a relationship that defied traditional norms but was defined by love, trust, and mutual respect. Chloe lay in bed, her thoughts drifting to the future, to the potential of what they could become together. She felt a smile tug at her lips, a sense of peace settling over her. This was just the start, and she was ready to explore, to grow, and to love in a way she had never imagined before.